Yeah, I don't see Alan or, Deb.
Hey,
I
everybody.
got the idea, Alan's back in town, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
Say something about
No.
that.
On Zoom. He should be coming on Zoom.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit on your end, Corey. Oh, there's Alan coming in.
Okay.
So I heard about half of what you said.
All right. Well, let me
Just
know if I need to
gonna-
wiggle around or something like that.
Yeah,
But
Alan's there. You guys now have a quorum, so is 4 a quorum for you?
yes,
Yeah, we only have 5.
Okay.
We're good.
Oh, so 3 was a quorum.
Yep. We're good.
Well, let's do it.
Okay, let's call the
All right.
meeting to order. And we need a March secretary volunteer. I promise I will volunteer in April and May and June. If somebody else will volunteer, please.
I just thought this time, we'll have paper. No, I'll do it today. I can do it today.
Is that Julie?
Yep.
Thank you.
Get my glasses
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah.
And how about approval of the February minutes? They were sent out. Everybody got a chance to read them? Are we good with that?
Yep, got to read them. They look very good.
Thank you.
Could we have a motion to accept?
Since I did them, I
Yeah,
probably
I'll move
should.
to accept.
I'll second.
Julie? Okay, and Corey?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, sounds good. Okay, so here we are. We've got old business and new business. I'd kind of like to flip this around and start with the new business. Just because we're delighted to have Mike Maples here, as well as Mayor Dave, of course. But delighted to have Mike Maples here, and we want you to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself and first impressions of Red Lodge and all that kind of good stuff. So Mike, you,
All right, I'm Mike Maples, and I've been here now for 4 or 5, I think I'm in my 5th week. I came here from Shoto, Montana. I was a public works director there. And so far, things have been going really good. I've had a lot to take in. I was convinced when I left Shoto that I'd seen everything in terms of missing infrastructure in the ground and not knowing where it's at, but I was surprised at what I'm finding in Red Lodge. So,
Well, thank you for
Chris-
looking.
yeah, and,
For looking.
very excited about working here. The crew is a very good crew, talented bunch of guys. Look forward to working more with them. And there's a lot to do, so that's kind of my background, I guess. I guess one of the things that I do a lot of is GIS and computer stuff, and that's one of the things that I'm gonna try and focus on, trying to get an accurate assessment of where everything's at in the ground and what state of condition it's in. And GIS is a very powerful tool for doing that.
without a doubt.
And Corey, we do have someone here from Republic Services.
Oh.
Do you wanna?
Yeah.
I can introduce myself. I'm Ryan Kaufman. I'm the municipal manager for Republic Services. I've already met Mike before, but I have not been to one of your guys' meetings, and I just wanted to introduce myself and show up and answer any questions if you guys might have them, because I'm the one that manages your guys' contract.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And Ryan, what was your last name?
Kaufman, Coffman.
Oh, got to do it slower, please.
Coffman.
Is she taking a minute?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, missed public comment on agenda items or public comment. Ryan, how about a public comment from you?
I have no public comment at this point, just hanging out.
Ryan, has already mentioned to you the bypass and where that might fit into some sustainability options? Are you aware of that conversation or not yet?
I haven't had that conversation with him, but I look forward to that. That's the kind of conversation I look forward to, and how we can partner with them any sort of major events you guys are having as a city, if I can donate stuff or help coordinate some stuff
Oh, okay.
we have in the future. And if there's any sort of initiatives you guys are trying to push, I would love to see how I can help out and push those initiatives, from my side as well.
And
That
Ryan, what,
is a big one, and that's, we have no way to compost. Because in Red Lodge, people can't really compost in their yards because of the bear
Bears.
situation. So we're trying to solve that issue. We used to have it with the recycling center. They were composting. I'm not sure where they took it. We could bring household compost in, not, yard waste, just food type compost. But either type right now is a struggle in Red Lodge. So that's one big thing we're wrestling with.
Yeah, so as far as composting goes, there's been a lot of things that have been going on with composting. The Logan landfill is starting a whole new composting program. Billings has started a composting program. Tri-County is starting a composting program. So I am in the initial phases with them, so I'm learning a lot myself.
Great.
But I'm sure there's something we can work together on and, something we can figure out.
We put one together in Shoto for composting, but it was strictly for, we did our own garbage in Shoto, so we didn't want grass clippings in the
Right,
garbage. So it was all grass clippings, and then unfortunately, but it's a long-standing tradition in Shoto, we pick up all the leaves.
oh,
okay.
So then we just, and we got it all approved through the DAQ to have a composting site, have a permit and everything.
Yeah.
But, and then we just would, it takes, we made these huge bins and we just mixed the grass and the leaves and rotate it, water it, rotate it, and then eventually it cooks down into nice stuff, and then that's available to
residents,
citizens.
yeah.
They
So,
come
and
get it.
you had bears, right? in
Yeah, they
Memphis?
don't get into that. They never got into that at all.
Right, it's like they might.
And we didn't have food in it,
Food
so
scraps,
it was just
right.
grass,
Right.
leaves.
You're talking green wave compost versus
Yeah.
bio.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a major difference.
Yeah.
Do you know when the two, bulk pickup days are going to be?
I have an idea, but I'll coordinate that a little bit more with Danae. And,
Okay.
I will let you guys know.
Okay, great.
I should have a better idea next time you guys meet. And then one of the things that I do is I'll coordinate what the specifics are that we do around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also, pay to do advertisements on the mountain so that
Oh,
everyone
okay.
knows in the city.
Great.
I will tell you, one of the most major hurdles that we deal with around the cleanups, the bulk cleanups you guys are talking about, is trying to keep the county out, right? Because this is for the city, right? And this is something that, by us partnering with you guys, is something that we give to the city for no charge, right? And I feel like we're missing an opportunity to do it specifically for the city. And that I would like to figure out a way to work with the city and help police that a little bit more, because I feel like a lot of the city residents miss out, because of some county residents.
Okay.
How does the bulk pickup work here? You guys bring in big dumpsters?
We bring in big roll-offs and our rear load trucks, and we'll sit there and fill them up and do 2 swaps
Out by the recycling
at
center.
the recycling center. But it's not, we need to work together as a partnership to police it, because anyone can show up, and it's supposed to be people that can prove, but.
Can they just show their water bill and then you know?
I think that would be a good idea, like, if there's something
That's what we did up
do-
there during the
and-
bulk pickup. You had to bring your water
Yeah,
bill, and it
and
was
I
like,
would
turn
love
around,
that.
you're going back. Well,
I
you
would
know
just
I live
need
in town.
someone
I
to
don't care,
help
you got a
out.
water bill.
I would just need someone to help out and do that, and I think it would benefit the city residents a lot more, because we have that happen, in the city of Big Timber, but we're able to police it really well, so.
Is that how they did it there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And we have a way to guard the gate, because we have a transfer station there to guard the transfer entry and exit a little bit better, but we also provide, Montana on a Mission, services up there for elderly people that can't clean up their own stuff. We help partner with the high school to help them clean up
nice.
up their house.
Nice.
But yes, sorry, long-winded answer, I will get you guys back information.
So something you could use is, bodies there,
Yeah.
checking for water bills when people
Yep.
drive in. Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
that's good to know.
Maybe we could work with
And-
recycling those people know, like Ann knows exactly, she's at the gate and she knows exactly, you know, who's in the city and who is not, and,
Well, as
Art,
far as
so-
recycling, but not recycler, she wouldn't recognize.
Right.
I
Yeah,
like
but-
the idea, just tell, bring your water bill, or quite frankly, any piece of, well, the problem with mail is it just has a P.O. box on it.
Yeah, there's a PO box here and they live in the
Yeah.
county, then
Yeah,
that's.
I had a P.O. box here for 20 years before I lived in city limits,
Right.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other thing, going back to the green, the grass clippings and leaves and stuff, with all that extra land up there now, there might be an opportunity for some of that. Because if the problem was someplace to do it, we're looking at greatly increasing the footprint of the recycling center area.
And that's what I had a conversation with Mike about that.
Area.
Except that area is gonna add an acre to the back of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's always been during cleanup, the entrance and exit, it's a very tight area. And
Yeah.
so it's a safety concern for us, right? We have to make sure we police and our guys in the vehicles. Because
Right.
all it takes is for one person to not be paying attention to back over someone,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly what happened in Missoula at one of our locations.
Mm-hmm.
Someone backed over someone, it was a private person.
Yeah.
There's no amount of safety you can provide, you just have to have a good flow of traffic in
Right.
and out. And that's the one area of concern I've always had with that recycling spot, is just
Yeah.
the entrance, leaving, exit and
That's
entry.
right.
We've already had that conversation too, so.
That's good, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of
I think we had that conversation.
no,
as
that's
well,
where
yeah.
you started it.
Yeah.
And I brought it to him, because you had a very good point. That's a safety disaster, though.
Yeah, it's a bottleneck, and it's just, there's not very good lines of sight around, it's not wide, some things, but that's part of the growth, and that's some of the problems that we deal with when you have growth.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Ann.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you leave your contact information with, Dave or somebody on the city staff so we can readily access it if needs be? Thank you.
I've done,
I will take a picture of it and text it to you right now.
Thank you.
I'll give one today.
We've got.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm glad I came.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to old business. And first of all, actually, we have 3 pending grants well, 2 and another 1 pending grants. We have an
I
Arbor
have called it, I'm sorry, I heard Great West, so ignore what I said earlier.
You're okay.
I heard Great West, not
Yeah, you're okay,
Republic.
I figured that's what you were talking, yeah.
We're good. I'm sorry, Corey.
Okay, we've got a Northwest Energy grant, we have an Arbor Day grant, and a potential for CRPG grant. So I think this is Alan. Alan, if you'll give us the status on those 3 grants, that would be great.
Sure, yeah. Let's see, there's actually 2 grants that are still pending from Northwestern Energy. One is for about $10,000 for solar panels on the recycling center, and the other is for about $20,000 of solar panels on the Public Works building. They should get back to us any day now. I've called, left a couple messages, emails, that kind of thing. Anyway, a year ago, it was late March timeframe when we heard back on the grant application for the pool, which was successful. So that's that. Arbor Day, let's see. So we've actually, someone pointed out that June 22nd was during the Singer-Songwriter Fest, so we don't want to be competing with that. So we are looking at switching that to June 15th, and I've already told Arbor Day Foundation, they said, sure. Let's see, were you talking about the CPRG grant as the next one?
Yes, and we're gonna talk more about that June 15th celebration. We're doing that in conjunction with the Parks Board, as far as I know. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more as it gets a little bit closer. The last grant is, of course, the CPRG. Okay.
Sure, yeah. All right, so I'm imagining most of you know, City Council voted down the resolution to submit a grant on behalf of the city. So that, I believe, is done. The big grant program still exists, and the state of Montana, administered by the DEQ, they're still indicating that they're going to apply for two areas of grant requests for the whole state. One is going to be for forest health, and details to be determined. And the other is sort of a combination of things, but I think schools is the main focus there. And I think that we might have some opportunity to apply for some of that funding. But all the details are vague, and we don't have much control over what match requirements or whatever. So we would from the Montana DEQ, but we won't hear much about that for many months. We might get an early indication in July. Checks are supposed to be mailed out in October timeframe, and then add some more time for Montana to set up their own rules and guidelines. And so we will see.
All right.
I would just, Corey, I would
Yes.
just like to thank Alan Best for working to implement the energy conservation plan, for seeing all of this money that's available from the feds and trying to get some of it for Red Lodge, and just for, you know, working with the city to apply for some of these grants. And I hope he will continue to do so in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes, we appreciate your work.
Yeah.
Lots of hard work.
Lot of
We
hard
appreciate it.
work.
And research.
And I'll add to that too, it's just that we've just got to reach out and pull the city in sooner and let council know that it's coming. And by the way, that one, and this is where my brain was earlier, so I mentioned, I apologize, but that other one, we're still looking at being able to utilize some levels of it for a couple of the projects. So hopefully we'll still,
It's pretty thin for
is
that.
it,
Yeah, I mean, I
the
ran,
math didn't work out to.
for the bypass one, basically the energy savings there would be, just in a nutshell, we have a booster station right now that we run with the bypass that would no longer be needed, but we'd have to install a
Is this
pressure.
the water thing at Lazium?
Yep,
Yeah.
and we'd have to install a pressure reducing valve in there. And we have a pressure reducing valve right now in town, so I pulled all the energy bills on that for a year. And it averages like $103 a month. And the booster station right now averages $284 a month. So we're only, in a year, the savings when we do this transition, and we're doing it because it'll increase our volume and pressure up there for
Right,
fire protection.
Right.
It's, you know, looking at those numbers, it's only about $2,100 a year that we're gonna save. I don't know. And like Alan pointed out, the minimum for that grant is $2 million. We're still waiting on the engineer's estimate for the bypass project, but the whole project, I'm guessing it's gonna be somewhere 1.2 to 1.4 million dollars. So it's under the threshold.
Mm.
We do have the stormwater project. It's been bid. We've got a little bidder on it, so it's kind of in process. I don't know how that would play into being fundable. The other issue with that is if the grant's strictly for energy savings, that's a very hard thing to quantify by getting the stormwater out of the sewer.
Mm. Mm.
Trying to quantify energy savings on that's very difficult, and it's probably minimal because the things at the sewer plant, like the blowers they're running anyway.
Mm.
It's gonna decrease the amount that goes through our facility, and it's gonna decrease the amount of pollution that we create, because once stormwater gets mixed with sewer,
Right.
it's sewer.
Yep.
And that will be significant, but in
Thank
terms
you,
of
Mike.
energy savings, I mean, I think in terms of water quality improvement, it's significant, but
Alan, do you know, outside of power savings,
Thanks, Mike.
if we greatly decrease the quote-unquote volume of sewage, is it environmental in general, or is it specific to energy?
It's climate pollution, meaning greenhouse gases, but there's a whole scoring system there. Yeah, so it considers everything, and yeah, we could still have a viable application if the will were there. I'm just gonna say that I heard, I got a sense of what our competition might be on a webinar the other day. Missoula's putting in a grant implying a request for more than $2 million because that's the minimum for urban afforestation, meaning trees. And you guys probably saw us in some of the prior emails crunching the math on trees and how they're actually not a big carbon sink. It's about 2 orders of magnitude, meaning a factor of 100 less bang for the buck on capping leaking wells that are, abandoned wells that are spewing methane. And it's about a factor of 10 less than, say, just buying a solar panel. And so that's in my mind a reason to consider just applying for this because we might get it. Dave and Mike, I'm sure you guys saw my recent communications with you regarding a sketched out plan that would actually involve not only a funding ask for the Lazium bypass, which, yes, it does have some greenhouse gas and energy savings there, which would save whatever $850,000 of the state's of the city's resort tax fund for other uses potentially. And then I recommended considering, or I suggested asking for whatever unfunded portion or higher interest loan or whatever was the most needed part of funding for the stormwater bypass. And you know what, we could finesse some numbers. I mean, if you read the grant, it just says, look, just document what your assumptions are and we'll score it accordingly, but just write down how you're pulling your number of CO2 tons savings out of a hat or whatever. Just justify it. And then the third part, which would bring up the CO2 savings immensely for being a very small, 10% of the whole budget I was suggesting, was a couple more solar panels, much smaller scale than what we had been talking about at the wastewater treatment plants. And I've been eyeballing the concrete structure, which is at the south end of the lagoons, where the 15-year-old solar panels already are. And that would obviously not encroach on any potential future 10+ year off space that might be required for a fourth lagoon or for a surface waste treat digester, whatever it's called, spreading out in the field, or upstream of that, uphill from that, potential stormwater diversion, holding retention pond or whatever you might call it. But it would be minimal, and that would actually get our greenhouse gases up to be, well, slightly more competitive than planting trees.
I have a
How much
question.
of the project is unfunded? I mean, we have funding to get started, is that correct?
Well, the way I understand it, and so when the stormwater project came up, phase 1, there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
Okay.
Phase 1 was designed to get funded with a pot of ARPA money that had come in, which was a grant, and then an SRF loan, which would require raising that stormwater rate to make the payment, because it's a 20-year loan. At the time that phase 1 occurred, because they didn't like that ARPA money sitting around very long for whatever reason, and Red Lodge had 2 pots of ARPA money, they said put them together and use the loan for the next phase.
Okay.
So I think the next phase is mostly loan funded, is the way I understand it.
And what'll happen is we'll end up changing the stormwater if we can get, if again, council has to approve and buy off of it. But right now, the stormwater is set like at $2 to $3 a month.
$3.40.
And it looks like the numbers are jumping it. If we jump it to like 10, then what that does, and we're allowed to pay it off sooner than that, you know, depending on where we get the funds, which is why we asked if the water thing fit into this. You know, it's not necessarily greenhouse gases, but if we literally cut in half the amount of sewer discharge, does that score, does that raise? But what happens is, that 10 would literally get our stormwater done within like a year timeframe.
Yeah.
And now we can suddenly turn and look at streets, which we can't look at right now, because why, if you're just gonna dig them up? And what you're basically doing is getting our stormwater out of the sewer,
Mm-hmm.
greatly diminishing how much sewer we're dumping into the river.
Uh-huh.
Well, increase capacity for more growth,
Right,
you know.
exactly.
Instead of treating stormwater, we can treat more
right.
houses.
So that would be on homeowners' bills, go up from 340 to 10?
Probably like, if we do 2 and 3, it'll be like, it'll go up 10, so it'll go
Go
to
from
13.
340 to 1340.
But, you know, we're in a situation right now, the contractor that was low bid for this phase 2 and 3, was the same contractor that did phase 1. And by all accounts, they were excellent, to work with. They did excellent work. That's pretty nice, because sometimes when you get low bidder, you don't get the best contractor.
Right, exactly.
And then, you know, since COVID, and it's hard to say if the trend's gonna continue, but since COVID and then all the money, the ARPA money and everything, it's inflated this kind of work incredibly. I mean, what used to be $1 million is now, I mean, it's like 1.4, 1.5.
It's not getting cheaper.
I think I was surprised on these bids. They were more competitive than what I saw last year in Shoto when we bid stuff out, so that was a good sign. But
Mhm.
putting it off,
Yeah,
you know, it's gonna cost more.
right,
And then you still have to go through all the process.
right.
So by raising the,
But better to take the hit all at once and get
Right.
it done.
Mhm.
and
You
how
know.
long would that be, like,
The loan,
I mean, how long would the bills go up to 1340, an individual?
For a 20-year period until that SRF was paid off.
Until it's paid off.
Which
Okay.
is
Okay.
why I was asking about if Alan
Okay.
thought that this would qualify for some of that money.
Got it.
Because
Yeah, I
whatever
just-
comes out of this, we don't have to raise utility fees to address.
and
Okay.
I can look into it, I just can't right now, and I'll call Chad at Great West, but I can't really, to see how we're, in order to get sounds like they're after carbon savings, carbon reduction.
No, it's more than
Um,
that. There's all sorts of good things we can use to justify it. You know, I mean, we're gonna have resiliency on the water with the lazy and bypass, the water pressure there. I mean, we're gonna have our firefighters able to do their job. I mean, does that sound good? Yeah, I think it does. You know, it's all of Red Lodge is a low income disadvantaged community. That's its own section itself in terms of scoring points. There's all sorts of things, but I'm just gonna say that if we don't apply
So
the
it's not,
chances,
it's not just strictly
Zero.
carbon reducing stuff, it's they're gonna score other things like water quality and stuff like that.
That was my question. Could I interject for just a second?
Sure, you
if-
bet.
If the CRPG grant also includes, I think what you're asking, Mike, is, does it also include not only energy savings, but water quality and
Sure,
all
exactly.
factors like the firefighters having more volume for water and blah, blah, blah. You know, are those all equal flat factors to energy savings? Alan, do you know the answer to that?
yeah, no, they're not equal. Just read the notice of funding opportunity, guys. It's 265 total points. Of that, 65 points is the raw magnitude of greenhouse gas savings from 2025 to 2030. You get 30 points are like for the savings from 2025 to 2050. It's, I don't know, 75 points for documenting how it's going to benefit the low income disadvantaged communities. You know, it's the cost of greenhouse gas savings, which is your total ass divided into the CO2 that you're purporting to be preventing. It's all it's all in there.
And
Okay.
I think part of what I heard Corey say is that, or Alan say is that it doesn't all have to rate at the top of the scale. It just has to rate better than planting a whole lot of trees. And we might have a shot at that.
And actually, you know what, that tree planting thing, it has a good chance of getting it. And so, you know, if Missoula gets $2 million for trees and we're like, well, shoot, now we don't have well, I'll just leave it at that.
What are the chances that this can be reworked and revitalized? We're looking at a April 1 deadline for this. We still need council approval if you think it's even a possibility. And Mike, we're kind of asking you for your professional judgment on this. This
Yeah,
is worth it.
I think that, I mean, I'm all for getting money. I just feel like we're not really presenting much energy reduction with the water and the sewer projects. I mean, the water project, it's pretty easy to calculate. It's $2,168 a year on average, and those things just run. I mean, they'll go up. I should have done kilowatt hours, I guess, but,
It's 50,000 for the
I don't think,
PDR.
I don't think our usage is gonna change that much. The dollars might when the rates go up. And in terms of the
No.
stormwater, I don't know that you can really, I'd have to talk to Chad at Great West and look into this a little bit more, but I'm not sure you could even say with our type of treatment system that we're gonna see an energy reduction just by, I mean, there would be
Putting less-
something, but it'd be so small.
Putting
But I heard him say water does count. It's not just.
Yeah, and if water quality counts, I guess I think it's pretty thin, but there's nothing to say, sounds like thin's part of the game with
We
Missoula.
could come up with 2 million, a project that,
You know, it would certainly, and I also don't know, by the time the process is through, the stormwater project may be awarded and we may already have a loan. Can it be used to pay back a loan? I don't know. I mean, those are some questions that you'd want to have some answers
Alan, I
to.
think maybe there's an additional follow-up, and one of the things, and I had already talked to Corey about this over the
What?
you would
weekend,
hope so.
is that if we move forward with this,
Usually those
I want to
people have all
pull in
kinds of
Great
rules
West
about their money.
and, you know, we're paying the professionals to get this in. And you mentioned that in one of your emails too about, you know, I can't do this all alone, but if we can pull Great West in. So maybe what we do is have just a quick follow-up conversation with me, Mike, and Alan, and decide, is it worth reaching out to Great West, given our short time frame? Because the reality is, in order to have that discussed in March, we've got one more meeting, and that agenda gets made Thursday.
Okay.
And that's scary under the best of circumstances.
So Dave,
How-
also should, if you have a follow-up conversation with, you, Mike and Alan, you should include Great West Station if at all possible.
Okay?
Was the council open to readdressing this?
I didn't really get that sense, but the biggest thing that I heard, and I think Corey heard this, and I think Alan heard this in follow-up conversations as well, is this is a new idea that we didn't have an opportunity for our engineering firm to be on board with. We didn't have an opportunity for our public works director to be on. And so when you're coming in and telling this, and to be fair, Mike spent a significant amount of time last week. I don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was in excess of 20 hours reaching out and talking to Northwest Energy, talking to the big people to say, you're smarter than me on this. Is this something we need to be looking at? And there was just skepticism, and like Northwest Energy was, someday we're just not there yet. And there's a reason we aren't doing solar panels to battery yet. So that was kind of the big feedback, and Mike, step in and correct me if I misstated or anything.
Well, I think the main one, I kind of expect that from Northwest Energy a little bit,
Right.
but the guy in Missoula said the same thing, and I feel like he was on the other side of the,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
of the aisle on
He
that
was a
one.
big fan of solar, but don't dump it into batteries.
He didn't think the batteries were there yet,
Yeah, okay.
and
Well, it's just a shame that this money's available, right? And
Is it a competitive grant, or is it just if you meet the guidelines?
It sounds competitive and,
they're scoring it. It's competitive.
Oh.
Okay.
Could I say something real quick? I also got the feeling from, after the meeting, from a few council members that their reticence was primarily because of the idea of the solar grid, which was, new and, untested, they felt, and, threatening or something. But should we take a look at this grant and apply it to some existing projects, which is what I'm hearing right now, they would feel much more comfortable knowing that they've been engineered, they've been looked at, they've been approved in by council before, and they would feel much more comfortable approving, applying for a grant for those particular things.
these are projects that are already in the maps and already happening. If we can get somebody else to help pay for them because of the benefits,
Yeah.
that's a lot easier to sell.
Mhm.
And
Well, and it's
they're shovel-ready, aren't these?
great
These
idea.
are
Yeah,
shovel-ready
shovel
projects.
ready, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so what I'm hearing right now is that Dave, Mike, and Alan, and hopefully Great West are going to have a conversation within the next day or two, I hope. Well,
It would have to be by the end of the day tomorrow probably because
Yeah,
Okay.
otherwise there's just no possibility of me getting, it's gotta go into a packet on Friday morning.
exactly,
right.
exactly.
Okay.
So if you will get that done, Dave, could we just kind of put you in charge of pulling that meeting together? And then,
Accepted.
and we're just saying, yay. Let's, if we can get this done, that would be absolutely amazing. And nothing is for sure. You know, this is a long shot, you know, but just to be able to apply for the grant, I think is significant. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Thanks,
And
Dave.
one of the things I heard the council specifically say is in their history of grant writing, if we'd applied for the other and then backed out of it at a future date, that ends up counting against you for other grants. And then in my conversation with Corey mentioned that from a press standpoint, that would have been an absolute disaster. Hey, you got a grant, what do you mean you're not moving forward with it?
That would be a disaster. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll just be waiting and Dave, you'll just let us know what's going on and keep us in the loop, and we might maybe be attending another council meeting. Okay? Thanks much. Let's move on. City planner hiring update. What's going on there?
So
Any-
at this moment in time, we have an RFP out for the equivalent of Cody Markser, who is Great West is providing a contract planner. I am not moving forward with hiring a full-time staff person at this point. We're using that full-time staff person for more like a equivalent of a city manager or a chief administrative officer, so I'm hoping for financial. So that's kind of why I'm pulling Mike in, kind of the same thing with parks. The reality is that aligns with Public Works right now. And then once we identify that bigger staff person, and that's probably still 4 to 6 weeks out, we'll find out what that person brings and what gaps they have, and that'll tell me where we hire an admin to come in and help with some of the other stuff. Did I understand the question, Corey, and did that answer it satisfactorily?
Let me paraphrase really quickly, Dave. It looks like you're putting an RFT out for Cody from Great West to at least fill in temporarily. Is that my understanding?
it'll be a 2-year contract,
Okay,
but we're not bound to it. So 15 to 20 hours of planning services. That's actually been out for 3 weeks, week and a half. And I know the deadline is Friday. But it's been through at least 2 cycles of Carbon County News and out on the planning sites and et cetera. But I think I read in between in the lines of your question, not just a planning director, I read Cody/Courtney/stuff they were doing. And so it's kind of maybe a little bit of a different divvying up, but maybe I read too much into it. So for a planner, Cody Markser is a contract planner. I should look this way, but then I can't see your reaction. Cody Markser is a contract planner that is Great West. They are not putting in for that because they don't have the staff. Cody ended up leaving, and so he has indicated they are not submitting simply because they're not sure they're going to have the staff. But I'm aware of at least 3 other firms that have indicated they are submitting. But as of this morning when I checked, nobody had yet, but the deadline isn't until Friday.
So it will be an engineering firm, someone with a firm, not.
Yeah, it'll be a firm, and that's, so part of it is not like who's the person you're gonna give us,
Yeah,
it's how are you gonna make sure to be able to handle Red Lodge's planning needs?
okay.
And so what requirements will you have of people that you stick on? But again, that's an emphasis primarily on a planning director, which in fairness, what Courtney was doing was a lot more than planning director stuff. And so I anticipate that some of that stuff that Courtney was doing will either be public works, or once we know what that full-time position is, then we will know if we're hiring an additional person to fill in. We'll know what the gaps are at that point.
So is that a new position, the
It
full-time?
is.
Okay.
So 2 years ago, we had a full-time city planner. Before that, it was actually when Peter Italiano was here, it was actually called the community director.
Okay,
So it's that position with more of a focus on government finance, grants.
okay.
That's kind of, as I look around right now from a staff position,
Mhm.
that's kind of a gap we have.
Okay, and then the engineering firms are those on the planning piece.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes, no,
Okay.
purple, Corey?
So, you're also still looking, you were talking, I mean, and this has nothing to do, I think, with sustainability, but just as an aside, you are looking at the possibility of, a city manager type, position. Is that what you're calling it?
Correct. And well, it's not what I'm calling it. So the 2 things that will not be called is it will not be called the city manager, because that's a title that it would have if we elect to change our form of government, which is a 3-year process. It will
Right.
not be called the chief administrative officer, because according to our charter, the mayor is the chief administrative officer. But the job duties will read exactly the same as those two positions, but it'll have a different title on it.
Oh, good. Can I help you pick a title?
Assistant Mickey Muck is already in there.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. That's super. It's helpful. Do we have any, oh, I'm skipping around here. Did anybody apply for a sustainability board member position? I forgot about that for new business. Dave, do you know if anybody applied?
Not the last time. We've filled everybody that we got answers to. So those should be updated on the website. You'll see how many we've got there. Because, you weren't originally on sustainability, weren't you just on Parks, neighbor?
No, I was here.
You were on sustainability, and then there was somebody who had reached out for, was it you?
No.
No.
There was somebody else who'd reached out, and she was going to, and she did not. She put in for urban renewal, and she had also, actually, she did. Let me follow up on that, because she said she would do it. But that'll be a day follow-up, because I don't think let me see if we did put her in.
Just let me know,
Because she
Dave.
said,
Go ahead.
it was just an email. She said, yeah, I'd be interested, or yeah, I'd do it. Or so it was a very weak letter, but it was a deadline. I said, would you still be interested? And she said, yes, and I put it in the packet. So.
Okay, That's what I heard, that there was someone new on sustainability, but I'll leave it at you and you'll let us know, okay?
And maybe we put her there and then didn't tell her that there was a meeting tonight.
I forgot to
And
invite
that'll
her.
be on me. So, hey, you got it, show up to the meeting.
We'll figure that one.
Okay, well, that's two things on your plate right now. Thanks, Dave. The next thing, we've got some energy conservation plan updates. If anybody has an update on any of the projects they were looking at, I do know we had some things that we hoped that our new Public Works Director would take a look at. And one thing is Mike, are you familiar with our energy conservation plan?
Nope,
Oh, gosh, it's on the web.
no, I know nothing about it, so
Gosh,
fill me in.
guy.
There's another.
You're sending an electronic copy of it?
Oh, man, it's a whole book.
Yeah.
It's on the,
It's like 80 pages.
website.
It's already on the website?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
It's on the website. Let's just put this on for next month, and you can see there's a number of things in here that there's some pie in the sky type projects and stuff, but there's also some nuts and bolts things that we've been picking away at, like LED lights and motion sensor, blah, 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 and this kind of stuff. So if you wouldn't mind
No, I'll take a look at it.
and taking a look at,
Standard Facebook report?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, we did appoint Joy Goodwin to the Sustainability Board.
Okay.
Good one.
Sure. Okay, good.
okay, thank you.
Well, I do have, I don't really have much of an update, but I did pass on some information about composting to Ann at the recycling center, and she was going to check into it, but then I haven't been there to chat with her about that. So I will keep you posted.
Okay,
And on the webpage, I see the resolution and the Sustainability Board bylaws, but I do not see the conservation plan.
it's not where? It's certainly in the growth plan. I know that for sure. It should be there. If not, we need to get it there. Sorry.
Energy
Okay.
conservation plan is on there, it's just not on the page, and what I show is a 2023 draft update.
Yes, that should be it,
Okay,
because it was
alright.
passed by council. The council passed the latest draft that we just did last fall.
Okay.
Okay.
So Mike and I now have that in our inbox.
No, good, thank you.
Got some homework. And we,
Sorry, I like homework.
It's a pretty easy read.
Yeah. There's some simple things in there.
Check it out.
which is, I'm kind of skipping around the agenda. I apologize sincerely. I do want to go back to the reusable bag committee and see if there's any sort of updates there, guys. Sorry.
There
There
are.
are. Go ahead.
There are
Good.
updates.
Yes.
We found
We got into the shed.
boxes and boxes and boxes.
A little background for Mike, okay?
Reusable Red Lodge Montana bags.
What, Corey?
Would you do a little bit, just a little, 25 words or less background for Mike so he knows what we're trying to accomplish? Thanks.
Yeah, we,
It's in the energy conservation plan to, work to reduce the single-use plastic bags and single-use plastic bottles. And Julie and I are the subcommittee of the Sustainability Board to do that. And so we've thought about various ways to get reusable bags out into the community. IGA paid for or had
They're great.
advertisers to produce a number of reusable bags. I don't know how, it was a lot.
It was a lot, yeah, I think they had
What's
two
a
bags.
lot?
Yeah,
How many is a lot?
1,000? Can you remember, Corey, how many IGA did?
But they
How
have
many-
had
How many
batches of them, and they're very, very supportive of asking people if they brought their bags, and they do a really good job.
Oh, they've done a couple thousand, I think, and
And so then, Recycle Red Lodge had produced, a number of bags that I think they were selling as a fundraiser, but, they had a lot left over. And so we now have charge of those as well. And we've just been trying to think of ways to get them out to people who can use them. And, you know, we have so many tourists, so many visitors that that's probably not going to happen with them unless they bring their own bags with them when they come. But for residents, we were hoping that we could encourage this. And so we thought about taking them to the Beartooth Cupboards, the food bank. And so we were able to get in the shed, Corey, and we took, we took a box over. They were very happy to get them. And then Julie checked with the recycling center, and they were interested and willing to give out bags to people who are recycling, in the hopes that they'll reuse their bags. And we still have quite a few left to distribute.
We have about 3 boxes of these and 2 boxes of this style, so we still have a lot. I was thinking maybe the Arbor Day celebration might be a good place to, you know,
Yeah. That
talk
would be very
about
good.
reusable bags, that sort of thing, so
Mhm.
that might be a place we could distribute.
So we're
them.
making some progress, getting the bags out there. And just hoping that people will, you know, bring them back and reuse them, so.
oh, that's
our
wonderful.
update.
Thank you so much. That's super. I'm kind of working off of the February agenda and the March agenda. I apologize again, sincerely. We don't have Chelsea here today, do we? No. She was going to work. Okay, she was going to check on the status of the MDOT EV chargers grant that was another grant that was in progress, I believe. And I don't know where that, I think Courtney wrote the grant, but I'm not positive on that. Does anybody know whatever happened to that? The chargers that would potentially go into the Civic Center parking lot?
Nope, I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Well, we'll wait on Chelsea and see what she can, see what she can come up with on that. And also Deb was going to keep us in touch with CPACE, which is a county, has to come from the county at this point. So I'm sure we probably don't have any update on that.
I did have one question about that. You know, is it just for businesses and ag? Because I wondered if the Chamber of Commerce might be able, as a pseudo-government agency, you know, they need new windows.
I think nonprofits qualify.
And maybe a new furnace.
Oh, gee, that's interesting.
And I don't know, we'd have to ask Deb
Yeah.
if they would qualify for that money, but that might be a way to get that done.
Put some pressure on the county commissioners.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it, really what the commissioners need is a business who's saying, if you just put this into play,
Right.
we could use it, so.
It sounds like it's gonna happen,
Good,
you know, from the CCRC meeting, so,
good.
yeah.
Does it,
Okay.
wait a minute. You guys, wait a minute. I didn't hear that. Do you think CPACE, it has to be approved by the county commissioners first before it can available in the county. So, CCRC seemed to think that might happen.
I think we just went to the annual meeting and they were talking positively about, maybe taking it to the commissioners pretty soon here, so,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
CPACE is do you guys know what that is? I don't know what it stands for. I should have brought my little cheat sheet, but, you can apply for a loan that essentially allows you to update your furnace or your windows or, you know, some sort of energy conservation, project. And we have a lot of old buildings in town, obviously, so that would probably be helpful here. And, the loan stays with the building, that's the way I understand it,
Pay back
right?
through taxes.
Yeah, and it's like a no-brainer, for a business. And so, I know Yellowstone County just approved it, and so we're hopeful that Carbon County will also do that, but, the Carbon County Resource Council is, kind of a lead on it, and Deb, who also sits on this board, is also on the a member of CCRC, so, anyway, it would be a good thing. It would lower their costs, obviously, their annual energy costs, and
Could I
it would
just-
be easy. Go ahead.
It's my understanding, because our business looked into that when it was first introduced, and say we needed a new furnace or whatever, then our business would pay for the furnace, and then any energy savings in our monthly bills would pay for the whatever we borrowed, you know, in order to say the furnace was $5,000. Then if we saved $500 a month, you know, whatever, then that would go towards paying back the loan. Okay,
Right.
so
Okay.
initial-
No, I don't
Was
think there's initial
is-
outflow from the business. I think that's what the loan is. I don't think there's a big initial outlay, no.
Okay.
We'll have to have
So
Tim
the
clarify.
energy savings pay back the cost or
I think-
whatever.
You pay it
difference.
monthly through your taxes, and the idea is that your energy savings is offsetting the increase in your taxes.
Or something.
That's why the county has to be on
That's-
board.
Yeah,
that,
exactly. That's why the county has to be on board.
But it
Yeah.
can also be
Yeah.
for, farms and ranches,
Yeah.
you know, for any energy upgrades they want to do to their operations,
Yeah.
would be included, so.
So we really need to hear from someone who's in a county that's had this successfully work, I think, would be helpful. That'd be helpful.
It would be
That'd be
helpful,
helpful.
yeah.
okay,
Maybe
I
check it.
else on the agenda for this month. I like to keep these meetings at an hour or less. And
Thank
so
you.
anybody
Right, Park.
that, all right, I move we adjourn this meeting. And thanks again, Mike and Dave, for being here. Appreciate it very much. And Ryan, if Ryan's still there. I don't know if
Yeah, he's still here,
Thank
yes.
you so much. We appreciate that.
He
Yeah.
is,
Very good
and
information.
this is one of those for staff support. I think Mike signed off on this, but if you need staff support at these meetings, all you have to do is the standing assumption that he should come to these, or do you want to wait and designate when he should come to these?
Ugh.
We could probably figure out when he should come.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to
There's
come every
nothing-
time. Right,
Yeah.
Corey? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, depending
I'd
on what's on the agenda. if it-
every meeting, but I know he's a big guy.
yeah.
If you guys ever need.
Well, and I have to let him out of real work to come to these meetings.
If you guys ever
Alright.
need more
Oh,
eggs,
we will
please
let you know. Thank you so much for being part of Red Line.
Oh,
Really appreciate it.
Oh,
And they're made from reused old plastics and like,
those are my favorite kind.
yeah, and they're actually really nice, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, these
if-
are,
If there's an event like around Arbor Day,
yes.
like if you guys are gonna do that and you're gonna hand them out, if you guys have a booth or something, like, we would come and do the same thing too.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Excellent.
Okay, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah, they
okay.
do that stuff.
You
Like,
should come to the
15th.
Parks Board meeting.
Yeah. Food festival in Bozeman, like I do all that stuff, so.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, okay. Well, next
I
month
have
we should
some-
get more specific about
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
15th.
Yeah,
And then,
Right,
thank you so much.
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks, Corey.
And yeah, any composting is a huge deal.
See
so
you in
anything
April.
We can come up with here.
Yeah, DEQ and everyone's doing a lot of, grants for, Chamber of Commerce is doing a lot of grants for, not Chamber of Commerce, I apologize. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, that's,
Is doing a lot of grants for composting right now.
oh, okay.
Like the city of Bozeman, again, got a huge grant for composting. Gallatin
From-
County,
From who?
I'll have to
Okay.
get back to you on that, I don't
Okay.
Yeah,
remember.
that would
but,
be helpful.
Compost and household stuff or like?
No, like
everything?
biomass,
And both is.
sewage, like
Yeah.
all of this stuff.
Yeah,
To the
Right.
point where, Gallatin County is gonna get quite a bit of an entire new, composting program. I think it was like $2 million,
Wow.
$3 million, maybe more, but to build an entire composting facility.
Wow.
so I think right now, people are putting yard waste in their garbage
If
containers.
you just do your normal
Oh,
setup,
yeah.
I'll do the alarm and change the store.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't,
I was gonna say that earlier.
we made that illegal,
What's that?
putting grass
For the
in the garden,
bulk
Oh, yeah.
just 'cause we don't.
All right, oh, and the meeting is done.
Anything.
But there right now, that's what they're doing in Red